Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. First, thank you to the Mineral Resources Review and the Organization Committee for giving us the opportunity to talk here today. And really, I guess my subject today is obviously the Valentine Gold Project and an update to folks in terms of our advancement towards first gold. Forward-looking statement, everybody's seen these before. Basically, this says if you rely on anything I say today and $5 million of stock and lose it, that's on you, not on me. So last year when we presented at this conference, we were a different company at the time. Most of you are familiar with this project, probably even more so by the company name as Marathon Gold. It is the Valentine Gold Mine. That is our project. And in January of this year, we were acquired by Calibre Mining. This has been a very beneficial acquisition for the project itself and for Calibre. And I just want to take a few minutes to talk about that, as some folks in the room may not be that familiar. So for the project itself and the Valentine Gold Mine team, it means, or it meant and continues to mean, being part of a larger company that already has producing assets, which certainly it is a better position to be in than as a junior mining company trying to finish up a project. For Calibre, what that means is increased production starting in 2025. A significant a diverse portfolio in terms of the contribution to their mining NAV, so between Canada and the US to complement Nicaragua operations. Significant exploration upside, which we do have, and I will talk about a little bit in terms of all of our jurisdictions, but especially with Valentine. Calibre has a strong balance sheet. We're going to add to that starting in 2025. And in particular, Calibre comes to Newfoundland and to this project with a really strong track record for delivery and shareholder value. And if you look at the board and the executive team, you'll see a tremendous amount of experience and a tremendous amount of delivery with respect to gold in the last 5 years. So a little bit more on Calibre, for those of you who might not be familiar. Three producing gold assets, two in Nicaragua, which is a hub and spoke operation. I had the fortune to go down there this year and have a look at some of that, and it's a really great area and a great project. The Pan Gold Mine in Nevada is the other operating asset. We have three growth projects, two in the US, Gold Rock and Golden Eagle, and of course the Valentine project here, which is going to be the focus for Calibre over the next couple of years. So I spoke a little bit about Calibre's track record in terms of delivering on commitments, and I won't spend a lot of time. There's a fair bit of information on this slide. But in terms of, since their inception in 2019, Calibre has delivered nearly 30% year over year in terms of production growth, increased reserves tenfold, and increased cash from $4 million to over $110 million or $115 million. They have a 5-year sustainability strategy that was developed early on. We continue to push that forward. It applies certainly to Valentine Gold and has been married to our own sustainability strategy. Calibre acquired Nevada in 2022 and of course acquired Valentine now in January of this year. Upside potential for the company overall. We really have upside potential in all jurisdictions, specific to the Limon mine in Nicaragua, Pan mine, again in Nevada, and a significant upside in terms of exploration potential for Valentine. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end of my presentation, and I'll give probably one of a couple of plugs for our exploration presentation tomorrow, which will be delivered by Nick Capps. It's got some really interesting information in it, especially for all you gold bugs. We actually have, I didn't mention, Nicaragua is actually a hub and spoke operation. There's 5 mines and 2 mills, and we actually have about 1 million tons of available annual processing capacity in Nicaragua. We're focused very heavily in all jurisdictions on exploration and spending quite a bit of money on that. And we have the ability as a larger company to increase cash through self-funding and organic growth. Some of this I've already touched on in terms of 2024 for Calibre. This is exclusive of Valentine, but also includes it in some areas. In terms of gold production, another very good year anticipated. Nicaragua is stepping up now in the last quarter to deliver some revised guidance on gold production overall for the company. Very good costs in terms of cash and all-in sustaining. And we're focused on growth capital investment in our operations as well as exploration. Obviously not small numbers for any stretch. Valentine Gold itself, most of you probably have followed this project on different levels. 2.7 million ounces of in-pit reserves, 5.1 in resource. Our feasibility study puts us the first 12 years at nearly 200,000 ounces a year. We are on track for gold production in Q2 of next year. And we're continuing to look at our expansion opportunity. There's already an expansion planned for 2028. We're looking at opportunities associated with that going forward. So, update on the Valentine Gold Mine development. It's really come a long way. I've been with this company, or with this project, I should say now, 6 years. And there's a couple other people who've been there a bit longer, but when we started the environmental assessment and all the work on it, this was a greenfield site. It is not a small project. This will be the biggest mine built in this province since Voisey's Bay. And so to give an overall update in terms of our construction progress, we're at 81% for the end of September. So we're a little bit further ahead from that now. Our TMF is complete and ready to hold water. Our leaching tank area is constructed and nearing completion. Reclaim tunnel, and coarse ore stockpile construction is progressing, and I've got a couple more pictures to be able to show some of this stuff. Primary crusher and is well advanced, and you can see that in the lower right-hand picture, and you can see most of the plant site there in the top picture. And pre-commissioning is underway. We're expecting electrical and mechanical completion early in the new year, and things are going really well. It's really about really all the major infrastructure and components are in place. Really now it's about connecting it all and getting it started. Happy to say, or proud to say, for those of you who don't know, last year we did get the John T. Ryan Safety Award. And in August of this year, we actually achieved 2 million hours with no LTIs, which is a major accomplishment on a major construction project like this. So a few pictures here of some of the early construction, roads, bridges, power, obviously, to the project. Power comes into us. It's about a 40-kilometer line in from, we're tied in at the Star Lake generating station, but as we're actually on grid power, it doesn't come directly from Star Lake. And has been mentioned a few times in various presentations, over 90% hydro, green energy for the project. Not working. Okay. Our permanent camp was installed and up and running by May of 2023. I guess I should back up and say we started construction in October of 2022, for those of you not familiar. So we're basically, we are now a full 2 years in. And well along the way. So our permanent, we started in our temporary camp, which was a place where our exploration camp had been, and we developed a permanent camp first, obviously, and we got in there in May of 2023. It's a very nice facility. This is a recent picture of the Marathon open pit. It's about 900, 950 meters in length right now along the high wall. And really the production from this and Leprechaun pits has been focused on waste rock, which is supplying the materials for our tailings management facility and roads and building pads and crushed materials that we require for concrete and aggregate across the site. This is very early days in our tailings management facility construction. These are impressive structures. If you've never been around a big tailings management facility, this is a significant part of the build, and a significant part of de-risking the project is just simply getting this started and getting up and out of the ground. So on the left-hand side, you see from the phase 1 design to the phase 6, and on the right, you're seeing a picture as we started and completed the clearing and driving in access. So this would have been early mid 2023. So this is a picture from September. You'll see it looks quite different, and it looks different again. I was at site 2 weeks ago now. All of the liner, so this is actually stage 1, which is what you see the liner on, and the upstream blanket, which is the horizontal part you see going up the hill, which is about 50 meters. And we now have liner on stage 2, and we're all but complete those 2 initial stages of the tailings facility. Wrong button. Couple of more shots of the mill. This is the process on your left. It's the process plant, looking at it from the top of the MSE wall alongside the crusher. You can see that's the route for the crushed ore over to the pad. They're sort of in mid-distance, which is our coarse ore stockpile, which will be covered, and then the mill in the background. The half finished building is the reagents building, and on the right is the SAG mill and ball mill, which look a little bit more hooked up today than they do in this picture. CIL leach tanks, a major part of the project, and our thickener there on the right in the left-hand picture, and side view of the primary crusher. Again, these are about a month out of date right now. We've heard lots in the talks about sustainability. This is a key aspect of any mining project today, and it's certainly key to the Valentine gold mine and Calibre generally. Some of you would have heard us talk about this last year, as you know, we've been constructing now, as I mentioned, since October of 2022. We have a benefits agreement with the province, signed in 2022, with a target of 85% in terms of provincial workforce for construction and operations. And we will do everything we can to get to 100%. We also have a gender equity, diversity, inclusivity plan associated with that agreement, and that sets forward targets with respect to some hard, some soft targets with respect to opportunities for designated groups. And I'm very pleased to say that I think the stats I got yesterday were at 96.5% provincial employment on the project, and we are actually ahead of or equal to all of our JEDI targets. So very happy to be able to say that. Our presence in central Newfoundland certainly has an impact, both primarily beneficial, but in some cases there are other impacts, as we have to recognize, and our closest 6 communities are those that we work with the closest: Millertown, Buckens Junction, Buckens, Bishops Falls, Badger, and a lot of bees, and Grand Falls, Windsor. We have cooperation agreements with each of them, which look at what they're looking for, what we're looking for from an employment and contracting perspective, communication, engagement, and environment as well. Extremely proud to say that we're the first major mining company on the island to have formalized engagement with both Halapu and Mayapekek First Nations, which culminated in signing socioeconomic agreements with both groups. And we continue to implement those agreements. They are specific to each group, and they cover a range of topics, including employment and procurement, environment, engagement, cultural investment, and other aspects. Another aspect of sustainability being the environment component, and some of this is kind of what I'll call old news in terms of the primary project approvals, which we had obtained by October of 2022, again, to start construction, so I'm not going to go through these. I think the most important point here to really drive home is that we've been constructing this project for 2 years now. We've done that in compliance with all of our permits and approvals. We've had lots of inspections. The Impact Assessment Agency of Canada Enforcement Group was out the beginning of October and went over. It's kind of like having a personal CRA audit. They really go over you from head to toe, and all those are going very well. No non-compliance, no directives. And for anybody not familiar with both the federal and provincial compliance groups from environmental assessment, that's relatively new, and they're coming to make sure that we're building these projects the way that we said we were going to. Berry Pit has been a popular subject over the last year or two. We got our provincial aid, so this is an expansion, and you can see it in the, I'm not going to be able to point at the screen, well, they're named on, so you can see Leprechaun and Marathon on the outer ends of the project, which are about 6.5 kilometers apart. We're very fortunate to have discovered the Berry deposit, which sits right in the middle of those two. And so that was not part of our original EA, and is part of our most recent environmental assessment and permitting requirements. So we got provincial EA very quickly in October of 2023. We submitted, I think it was August, early August of 2023. The federal EA amendment got caught up a little bit in their own act amendment last year, and so that took a bit longer. We landed that in July, and we've been working through the permitting and EA conditions of release since then. And I'm happy to say, I was hoping to be able to say today that we were full go on Berry, but we're within days or weeks of being able to start work on Berry. So another big step for this project. Now I'm going outside my comfort zone really big time, and I'm guessing Nick Capps is in the audience somewhere. This is supposed to really be a teaser for his presentation tomorrow. I talked a little bit about the upside, but I'm not going to talk about geology because anybody in the audience who knows me will know that I just shouldn't. The bottom line, I think the message that we want you to get from these slides is, the focus for the last, Leprechaun was discovered in 2010, Marathon in, I'm going to get this wrong, 2016, 2017, and Berry in 2020, I think, if I got that correct. And that only covers 6 kilometers of the fault zone on our 250 square kilometer property. And I think now I'm going to remind you about that forward-looking statement I talked about at the beginning. This is kind of where we're getting into that. We have actually 32 kilometers of fault zone, primary fault zone, along our property, and Nick and his team are continuing to explore that. We continue to do work within our pits, which is giving us positive reconciliation relative to our modeling. We're doing pit ore control drilling, which is also giving us positive reconciliation, which is really key in terms of de-risking how you start a project. If you don't have the grades when you start, that's not a good thing. And we continue to explore in between those deposits as well as outside those deposits and on some secondary shear zones outside of the main Valentine Lake shear zone, all of which to date are producing positive results. And again, I'm going to let Nick talk about that tomorrow. And really this is kind of what it culminates in is we are going to continue to spend a lot of time, a lot of resources, and a lot of money on exploration on this property. Again, you can see the entire property here. We've already identified some additional deposits. Frank Zone and Repeater Hill to the southwest of Leprechaun, the Western Peninsula, Victory and Eastern Arm. We're drilling. We're doing a lot of drilling. But we're also doing a lot of prospecting and grassroots work in what I'll call the more greener areas of the site with respect to exploration. So stay tuned. We do expect to have good news as we move forward. How soon that will be, I can't tell you. And that's really it. I think I'm on time. I do want to take a second, though. Usually the thank you slide is kind of blank. In this case, I look back over the 6 years I've been on this project, we've come a long way. Being over 80% constructed from a greenfield mine perspective is a big deal. We have the money and we have the people to finish this project and put it into operation. And I think it's really important to the province. It's really important to the central region of the island. And we'll continue. But along the way, we've had to have a lot of help and support from various folks. The Newfoundland and Labrador provincial government and departments, and a special thank you to Mines Branch, Environment and Wildlife Division. For those of you who don't know why I'm mentioning Wildlife Division, because we have caribou in that area and we have to do a lot of work to protect those caribou, and they work, they're very good to work with. The Canadian federal government, our local offices at DFO and the ECCC in particular, Halapu and Maipekek First Nations are really great to work with. We've been engaged with them since 2019. I know there's representatives from both groups here. Great folks to work with, and we'll continue to implement our SEAs with those two communities. Our local communities I mentioned, the 6 in particular, but all of those in central Newfoundland. And our contractors and consultants, and we have so many I couldn't possibly, it'd be unfair to even start mentioning them. Some of them are in the room, but it takes a lot of work to develop a mine like this and to do it well. And there's a lot of other stakeholders as well. So thank you to everybody. I can't name everybody, but it takes a really big team of people and teams beyond those teams to deliver on something like this. So we're not quite there, but when we get up and talk about this next year, we're going to talk about gold bars and how the operations is actually proceeding. So thank you to everybody.